Throughout history, humans have been storytellers. You can find stories in paintings, traditions, religious texts, and even as far back as cave paintings found in Sulawesi that are believed to be over 40,000 years old. In one painting, you can see a small-bodied buffalo called a Nanoa being flanked by human-like figures with spears. However, these aren't any plain old humans. They also have animal features like tails and snouts. In mythology, these would be called therianthropes. This would show that even early humans were thinking up and telling fictional stories. But personally, I think this could be some sort of gladiator-esque blood sport in which the furries of the early human population are pitted against wild animals in a fight to the death. I'm no historian, but who's to say really? Either way, this shows that storytelling is a tradition that is deeply rooted in our history. We haven't lost this tradition whatsoever. We still tell our children bedtime stories, we go to the movies, we read books, even our conversations with each other largely consist of stories. Just by walking down the street, you might catch two people laughing at that time their friend crashed face first into a street lamp while riding his bike, all because he was attempting to perform a trick in hopes of impressing the pretty girl that was walking across the street. But much to his embarrassment when this girl rushed to help him up, and it turned out that he was actually a man who just happened to have long flowing locks. Long flowing locks that when viewed from the back and from a distance conceal his rather obvious and scraggly beard. I'd like to add that this story is entirely fictional and it definitely did not happen to me. Shut up. In a 1944 study by Fritz Heider and Marianne Simmel at Smith College, 34 college students were shown a video where one circle and two triangles moved across a screen while one rectangle stood still. When asked to describe what they saw, 33 of the 34 students anthropomorphized these shapes and created a narrative for them. The circle felt worried, the small triangle was an innocent young thing, the large triangle was blinded by rage and frustration. Only one student merely saw shapes moving on a screen. This actually looks pretty fun, let me give it a go. Oh, this is obvious, the rectangle is something stationary, so I don't know, like a pole or something. And the big triangle is me on a bike, and oh no. This study shows that stories are so important to us and so ingrained in our human makeup that we even tend to find them where they're absent. If we didn't use stories, I'm not even sure you could call us human. But what's their importance? Why tell stories? One of my favorite directors and storytellers is Hayao Miyazaki, the man behind a lot of the Studio Ghibli films. He once said, "I do believe in the power of story. I believe that stories have an important role to play in the formation of human beings, that they can stimulate, amaze, and inspire their listeners." When we think of those bedtime stories we tell children, many of them contain morals like being courageous in the presence of fear, treating others the way we'd want to be treated, seeing the beauty in everything, and so on. These stories allow children to explore these ideas through its characters without yet having the personal experiences to prove them true in their own lives. This doesn't stop in adulthood. As we grow older, we continue to use stories to connect with each other, make sense of the world, and share our understanding with others. It's an exchange of ideas that allows us to learn from the successes and failures of other people. As Pixar writes in its 22 rules of storytelling, why must you tell this story? What's the belief burning within you that your story feeds off of? That's the heart of it. And once you know that, you can often find what greater purpose that story will serve, or what it will teach others. In the Pixar movie Soul, a middle school teacher named Joe Gardner attempts to reunite his soul with his body after they're separated. This happens just before his big break as a jazz musician. The movie explores mortality, the meaning of life, and the question, what is life without purpose? Joe believes that his life purpose is to share his jazz music with the world, so he dedicates practically his entire life and every waking moment towards this goal, thinking that when he finally obtains this dream, then he will be living the life that he's supposed to. But in the end, when he reaches this goal, he still doesn't feel satisfied. He still feels like he's missing something. He later realizes that a successful life isn't determined by achieving one singular purpose, but instead that the success of a life is determined by how fully every moment is lived. It wouldn't surprise me at all if this story challenged somebody's current ideas or even inspired them to take action and live their life differently. I know when I watched it, it did cause me to pause and reflect on my own life. It reminded me that although I do have goals that I'm striving for, I shouldn't be entirely consumed by those goals. They're not all that life is about, and that I should still remember to live and enjoy life in the present moment. What you're trying to do when you tell a story is to write about an event in your life that made you feel some particular way and get the audience to have that same feeling. If someone just randomly told you, hey, you should live life in the present moment, you might cringe at how cliche that sounds and not even give it a second thought. However, if they guide you towards this idea through a story and through characters that you can relate to and empathize with, you might actually take that sentiment to heart. Stories permeate almost all aspects of our lives. They're one of the most powerful tools that we have at our disposal. Through them, we can challenge each other's ideas, connect with others on a deeper level. We can better understand ourselves, what it is to be human, and how best to live our lives. Stories can do all this while simultaneously providing us with some excellent entertainment. And maybe also providing your friends with the ammunition they need to embarrass you on their whim. Because perhaps, for a brief moment, you were attracted to a scraggle-bearded man. Thanks for watching.